This will go really fast then.
I know.
It will. We'll just touch on a few things, I think, and since we have quorum, we can make decisions. Cool. So welcome to the whatever month it is, November.
Are you recording?
Yes, I'm recording.
Okay, good.
November 2024 board meeting for Rocky Mountain Chapter of American Society of Travel Advisors. We have quorum. We have a few people traveling, but we can proceed. So let's start with last month's minutes. Robin.
All right. Jennifer wasn't here, but Jeff reported 46,100 in the account and plus around 46,100, waiting to pay out the rest of the showcase expenses. And we talked about working on the budget for approval in December. The November event was going to be Explora Virtual yesterday. Sorry. And I added that to the newsletter, which was sent out that week. December, we are doing December 3, 12 to 3 p.m. members only social event at Eddie Merlot's. And from the national board, we had some reports from, I guess, I'm not sure who did that, Jeff or Rob.
Who and Rob?
Okay, I will put that in the minutes. And we talked a bit about debrief from the showcase and thoughts about feedback from this past year, thoughts for next year. We also talked about the fact that we need to have a full deep dive into the chapter financial choices. And that's basically the summary.
Cool.
I move to approve.
I second it.
Any opposed? No edits other than it was Rob for national updates. Because they don't tell me anything. Okay, cool. Thank you, Robin. Someone's going to watch this someday and be like, what the heck, Jeff? All right. Let's move to our current financial status. Ms. Gray.
I like the dog.
So, yes, he joins my meetings sometimes. So all the showcase expenses have now gone through. The only thing I'm not sure about is I sent a refund check to Aer Lingus, but when I asked them to confirm like where I should mail it to and everything, they really just wanted to roll it over. But I was like, no, other suppliers were doing that, so I'm sending you the check. So I sent a check to their address on file, and I don't know what's going to happen to it, but that's where everything is. And so we wound up making over 20K on the trade show. 22,054 is what we made on it, which is great. And we have an additional 750 in our account. We're now at 43,899 in our account. So in good shape.
Awesome. Thank you much. So we got to figure out what to do with that. That'll be a conversation over this meeting and next meeting. Cool. Thank you, Jen. Sally, you want to talk trade show updates? I know this was pretty much the crew from yesterday, but you're muted, Sally. Sally, you're muted.
Thank you. Robin, I think the thing that we need to note in the minutes is that we're looking at September 11th, 2025 for the trade show based on other conflicts. And other than that, everybody was there. I don't know if there's anything else we need to make. I mean, I think we've got a great team. We had 12 at the meeting yesterday, I think. And people were rolling. So I think that's the end of my report.
Okay, cool. Yep. So I think we're pretty much agreed on September 11th for this year, right? And if we're just asking the village so we can get a quote of what it would cost, is that our idea?
For future reference.
For future reference, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds good. Um, those are our standard reports, I think. We don't have.
Events.
What's that?
Events.
Oh, events. Sorry. Like looking at everybody. Yep, everyone spoke. Sorry, Trish. Go
That's
for it,
okay.
Trish.
So we were supposed to have Explorer yesterday, and there was just a glitch in the system, and only Jeff and I showed up anyway. So I spoke to the Explorer presenter. He's a very nice guy. We're gonna try again on January 7th. So I redid the ticket tailored, Jeff. I just need the link to go in it. And I don't know if do we reuse the same link all the time? I didn't know if I could just cut and paste it, or if that has to come from you, or
You can also create it in the Google Calendar. I don't know if those instructions are in your sheet, but I'll do it for you real quick.
okay. So we're gonna do 2 events in January. Since one will be a business builder and this one is a redo. So hopefully we'll get some people to join on for Explora, because they're a new product and hopefully people are curious about them. But this week before Thanksgiving, I know it's a little crazy and lots of people have been traveling. So we're going to try again January 7th at noon. And so I've redone the ticket tailor, and then I will create, we're going to do, I got Stephanie Grease from Travify. She's going to do an AI for travel advisors on January 21st. So I think that'll be a great presentation. It should not really have anything to do with Travify, but I saw that she has done this presentation before about AI for travel advisors. So, and she's a great presenter. So she's agreed to do that on the 21st. And then I'm talking to Hyatt All Inclusive to do something in February. And I've sent out several emails to other suppliers. And I'm talking to Jeff's friend Noah about maybe doing another business builder in March, the one that we were trying to do previously, the using your cell phone to take good pictures. So basically another business builder. He said the early part of 2025 was pretty open for him. So I want to try to capture him maybe for March. And so the question I had was, since we do have quite a buildup of cash flow, since our supplier showcase is doing so well, is there a way that we can give events a budget, so that like if we did want to pay the Gaylord to host like the cell phone camera event there, since they were wanting to charge us, so that we could have a budget for that and not just look for free places? Or how do we want to use that money? I know you said you were going to talk about it, Jeff, but wondering if events can have a budget.
Yeah, I don't think I have a problem with that. Do you recall what Gaylord wanted to charge us?
It was a couple $1,000s. I'd have to go back and look at my emails, but
What did that include?
that was just for the room, and then food would be on top of that. So I'd have to look, and that was just one. But like I was also thinking of whether we could get people to go to the Broadmoor or Brown Palace in downtown Denver. You know, before I start making those calls, I just was curious about events having a budget.
Yeah, or the Crawford or something like that.
Right.
Maybe we can flex the fact that some of these properties have Michelin keys now. I know the Crawford is a key. That's the only one on top of my head. I think Four Seasons. And Sonnenalp, but I don't know if we can get people to go to Vail in the middle of spring. Generally, yeah, I think it's a great idea. We've got an initial draft budget lined up, so we'll talk about that here in a second. How much do you think would be good? Like, to me, like a couple $1,000s for an event space for basically an hour or two doesn't seem like the best use of money, but other places would be. So
Right.
I think the Gaylord's just being the Gaylord there.
Right. I mean, you'd think they would want us to be hyping them up, but either other event spaces sometimes cost money too. So
What if it was like $1,000 a month?
Yeah,
or event or something like that. Yeah.
that would let us pay presenters if we need to pay a presenter for a business builder. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think some will want to pay, but there might be some other freebies. So maybe average it out a little bit and do like, half of what we made on the trade show for like events and then half of it for other contingencies.
Yeah, because we want to keep offering like the Christmas party and doing the night before for the suppliers at the event, the supplier showcase. And we definitely don't want to bankrupt anything.
Yeah.
Okay, it just would be nice to know that there's a little bit of money, and obviously we're planning months out, so it doesn't need to be that there's a specific budget, but just that there's an option to come to the board to spend money on events, maybe.
Yeah, I think the reality is that the situation we're in now is that we have money. I think we've been nervous for, let's call it year 1 and year 2 of after pandemic, new trade show, that, how well was the trade show was it sustainable? Are we gonna keep making money off of it? All that kind of stuff. At this point, I think we're pretty much solid that we're making 20K on this thing. Spending 10 of that a year on other chapter events, or knowing that we kind of commit to that, roughly that number, makes sense to me. It gives us more flexibility to know that we're not really needing to penny pinch right now. I still want to figure out what in the world this thing is at National is going to look like. When Rob gets back from Morocco, I'm going to talk to him about that. And then I'm sure CPC in January will be lots of fun, if that gets announced. But yeah, other than that kind of thing that's sitting out there, whatever that's supposed to look like, we've got cash, and I'm in favor of investing into the chapter over the next year.
Sounds good. Because I also looked at like what the botanical gardens had to offer, but they also charge if you want to run a room there or whatever. So I'm trying to get ahead in the planning. So
yeah, I think that lends itself to that conversation we started last month too, about charging members for events and for coming to events. And Robin, was it you yesterday that threw out the idea of a credit? If you come to the showcase, then you'll get a coupon to your next ASTA event or something?
Right. I think we were all on that, but yes, I said if we charge them to come to the showcase, and if they come, then give them a voucher to attend a future event at no charge. If they don't come, then they've lost the money that they paid, but at least it kind of helps offset members not only having to pay for the showcase, but then having to pay for events.
Yeah.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, I like all of that. I think some things we might make free, and some things we kind of treat charging as maybe our new default for 2025.
Yeah.
And make some things free. Do we want to be charging for supplier meetups, like virtual supplier meetups?
I don't think so.
Okay. Should we be charging the suppliers for that?
You guys have been in the business longer. I defer to you.
Well, we'd have to get more people showing up if we're going to charge suppliers. There's even 10 people isn't a very good showing if a supplier is paying.
Right.
And so, if there was a way we knew we'd have 20 people, then I'd be okay. But
Well, what about the other way? Not necessarily charging the supplier, but making them give a prize. People love prizes as incentives to attend.
That's a good idea.
Kind of make that the expectation.
Yeah.
That would help drive attendance at those things for sure.
Mhm.
People like prizes and free food.
Too. Me too. I actually won something for attending a webinar. I got
Yes.
2 free nights at Sugar Beach in St. Lucia.
Nice. Very nice.
Good.
The same 2 people in my host agency win everything. I'm pretty sure it's rigged. Every time I go to a host agency thing.
Robin wins all the time.
One of those.
I
Okay,
think
well, since we had started the discussion on money, let me bring up the initial draft budget. Jen, do you kind of want to talk us through what you put together here? Sorry to put you on the spot. You are muted.
That would help. One thing real quick, I noticed a bit of a issue. If you could go to the trade show tab and their meeting expense, it's not supposed to be 500, it's supposed to be 5,000.
Meeting expense.
it's a zero.
20
That's not very much.
From 2025 in the budget, column J. J16.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I caught that.
Okay.
Before I sent it to Sally. I thought Sally wouldn't like that. Just giving her $500. So, well, let's just start with the trade show since that's where the bulk of it, and Sally and I have already kind of gone back and forth and we're in agreement on it. But the revenue, we made $31,767 this year's trade show. So I budgeted $30,000 for next year. We also got 424 from the people who had to buy tickets who were non-ASTA members. So I kept that around 400. So next year we're projecting to bring in 30,400. And then expenses are roughly equal to what we spent this year. The only thing I added a little bit is we started using Chris to update our web a little bit later in the process, but I just put a little bit more in case we want to get him involved earlier and pay like a little bit more to him. But otherwise, I just based it off of what we spent on the show this year. So we would still bring in 20K next year.
And that will actually be a little bit higher because we just talked about raising prices yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
We didn't really have anybody. No, that's not true. We had non-ASTA members sign up. We didn't have anyone post July 1st. So, okay. What numbers, remind me, Sally, what numbers did we come up with for the new tables next year, pre-July 1st? Or did we just add $50 to the tables?
We said go up $50 for tables to $200 for presentations. Lunch presentations would be 3 presenters at $400 each.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Oh, it didn't like that. Okay. So yeah, I mean those numbers will go up a little bit. Other things might increase a touch. Let's see. Yeah, we were a little low on our budget. That's fine. But yeah. So yeah, we'll probably end up closer to that 22 number, 22 to 25. Jen, I'll work with you on a model for that.
Yeah, I can easily just increase the income. I can just use all the volumes that we had this year and then add the new prices. So
Okay.
I can do that.
Cool. All right. where do you want to go next?
So we can go in operational next. So I know we had some things budgeted that we aren't necessarily spending, but I just kept it in there. I don't know what you feel. If we need printing expense and travel expenses. That's a question, an open question I had. But I just kept it in there.
Yeah, I would say keep them. Printing, yeah, printing's a fine number. I would just even keep it at the 250 from last year. We haven't done much of it this year, but there's no reason not to. Travel is low because I'm terrible about submitting my expenses. But I also use points to travel a lot. So I will have, we use travel to send a representative to required events for things like Chapter President's Council. And I have a CPC coming up in January that I realized today I have to buy the ticket for. So I'll go ahead and submit that expense, and that'll pretty much take that budget. But yeah, so I would keep that. Whether it's me or somebody else from the chapter, we reimburse the costs of that travel for those required events. Yes, Sally.
There's more than one required event that you go to, Jeff.
There's two. There's CPC at Tech and the CPC in January.
So we should be funding both of those. You put enough time into this, you should not. I mean, if you want to use some points, that's fine. But what we should be funding whatever. And so I would double that.
That's
At
probably
least
wise. Yeah.
I would double that.
And whether it's me or somebody else. So there's going to be times I can't go. So
yeah, I think, there's a lot of regional director meetings, aren't there? There's more than two.
yes, but we don't pay for that.
Because,
I don't go to those.
oh, if you don't go, that's fine. No,
Yeah.
okay, so this is just the chapter president's meetings that you go to.
Right.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay,
No,
got it.
ASTA
So
pays
we
for Rob to go to regional director stuff.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, we got Rob to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we talked earlier about where the extra event expense would go in the meetings education chapter. So I'll plan to increase that to 10K. We don't really spend on advertising and promo anymore since GoDaddy's in the technology, but I suppose just keep it just as a placeholder. And then are we going to give 1,000 to ASTA PAC next year as well?
Yes, that's a requirement.
Okay. And then on technology, we have as ongoing expenses the GoDaddy and the GoDaddy we paid this year. It just went through in November. So, but that's not an annual expense. And then we have the Google Workspace. So that is how I reflected the technology expense.
Let me confirm that about GoDaddy. Did you see it go be a 2-year?
I was just told when I first took over the budget that's how it was, and I have never seen an expense till this just this month. I saw it go through. It must automatically bill your debit card.
Yeah.
I have GoDaddy and mine's every 2 years.
Okay. I see. I do all of mine on an annual basis, but I just want to confirm that that's how we have it set up. It's a separate account. Let me just quickly take a look at that. Renews on, yes, it is on every 2 years. Okay. Cool. November 2026 is the next one. Cool. All righty.
So if I added, so I'm going to double the travel and take the meeting expense up. So that's going to bring our expense hierarchy up to about 15K in expenses. So that's good with everybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. So let's see. The net income would be about 5,500 for next year.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Maybe a little more once I increase the price.
Yeah.
Maybe like 7,500.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I always like profit.
Hmm.
That still leaves us to decide what to do about this 40K that we've got sitting. So let's talk a little bit about anything else on budget. Does it look good to
We had
everybody?
talked about scholarships, PR agencies, marketing to help promote advisors in Colorado and Wyoming to the public. Maybe tied in with ASTA's focus on VTA. We talked about underwriting the cost. Sally said underwrite the cost of a FAM. And Yuri said the only way to get Wyoming members more active is to have more events in Wyoming, maybe like a mini trade show, maybe just a chapter meeting with local suppliers in attendance. Yuri said if we do it in Cheyenne, maybe the community college would be a good location. And then Sally also mentioned doing something like that in Colorado Springs. So those were all discussed last month.
Cool. Thank you, Robin. Okay, so I'm going to close on the budget for the time being. Jen and I Jen mostly, but Jen and I'll work with Jen, and we'll kind of get that updated for approval at the next meeting. You can tell the sun is starting to set, so I'm starting to turn into glowing Jesus here.
It goes with a Hallmark kind of image.
I would call you more like a Buddha.
A Buddha. Yeah, just don't rub my belly for good luck.
I was just going to say, but we're not referring to the belt.
No.
No, it's a bald head.
Feel free to leave coins at my feet, but no. So next year priorities. I've been thinking about this from two different perspectives. One, for the last year and a half or so, our focus was on building up our events and creating value there and just kind of getting the trade show to the point that it's at. And generally speaking, I think we've done a fantastic job with that. We've got, our website's been overhauled and all of these things. Our technology is stable. So I think we've hit a lot of our goals that we set out to do over the last 18 months or so. Looking forward, I see personally, and this is open for discussion, two key areas that would make a lot of sense for us as a chapter moving forward. One is Wyoming. There are, according to ASTA statistics, there's something like 250.
I think it said 555.
Okay.
I know, that's crazy. I don't even know that many people here.
But that many travel agents, travel advisors in Wyoming. And at last count, and I need to rerun these counts because it's been a few months, we had 11 were ASTA members on our rolls for our chapter.
Yeah, I think the flyer said 13 for
Okay.
each day, but yeah.
Okay. That's more recent data than I have anyway. So now that we all know that the ASTA numbers, the membership logs can be a little bit funky just because of the way you sign up. If certain host agencies, you might get placed in the wrong chapter, but at least the people that are receiving our mails, or should be, is roughly around 13 people. So vastly increasing engagement, membership drives, etc. in Wyoming would be killer, I think, for us. Granted, it creates the problem of what do we do about events, but if we've got people to drive events up there, then we have a reason to do events up there. More to the point, Udi, Robin and I are all here in northern Colorado, southern Wyoming, so we have nearby. I don't count Berthoud, Trish.
It's 20 minutes from Fort Collins. What are you talking about?
Yes, but it's in construction hell right now, so I'm pretending that section doesn't exist.
That's not my fault.
And Trish with Berthoud, if we want to be gracious with Berthoud. I'm just teasing. So that's a pretty easy jaunt for at least the four of us to go up and do Wyoming stuff. So that's something we just got to justify it. So that's kind of one strategic area. How do we engage more with Wyoming and build our audience in Wyoming? The second area that I've been thinking about is how do we create more, our focus for the last 18 months has been helping travel advisors be good business people, right? Build up their business skills, all that kind of stuff. Now, how do we drive them more business? And there's a few things there. There's stuff happening at the national level. I don't know how long it's going to take. My guess is it's going to take a minute. But there's a couple different things there. One, do we invite our members to be part of a program? And I was hoping to have more of an outline on this, but I didn't get a chance. I always think I'm going to work when I'm travel, and I never do. So, maybe it's a matter of, a section on our website for travelers. We've got a page there now, but what if we had like an index of our members who have said, I'm willing to take this business, or I want to be on this. And we create some sort of criteria, right? Like maybe they have to be VTA, or they have to pay to be, it's a paid service to be featured. Or they have to come to an event to stay on it. Like you have to come to at least one event this year to stay on our website. Stuff like that there's kind of an incentive, a little bit of carrot and a little bit of stick. And then have a advertising or PR program that would drive the consuming public towards that in some way. There's a couple of different avenues there. I did talk to a couple of PR agencies. We'd be looking at least $12,000 for like a 3 to 4 month program. I'm not sure how effective it would be versus, advertising from the chapter level to drive towards our, hey, here are the best travel agents in Colorado and Wyoming. So those are my general thoughts. Can we find ways to drive business, and how do we build up Wyoming in general? Sally, you were first with your hand up.
I liked Judy's idea of a mini showcase in Wyoming. I think that may take a little while. Well, it depends on how many we make it. It could be, we could do it next week if we only did a few, but it might take a while to make that. The other thing that I offered to do a while back, which is a pretty quick and easy, I did the disc for, and I don't know if you came to that, Judy, all the way down to, I could do that in Wyoming. That was about $1,000 for the food and the materials. And that's something we could schedule after the snow's gone. And, it's a pretty quick, it's already a package, it doesn't take a lot of, we just need to get a facility with food. And that's something we could do. Oops, sorry. Wait a minute, somebody's calling me from Alabama. Why would they be doing that? And that's something that, I'm happy to go to Cheyenne or wherever to do it. And if we'd have to round up some folks to make it worth it, but that's an option. And I love the Broadmoor. We could do something similar in Colorado Springs. I think Andrea and John would be willing to help us put something together south to try and win. And I would totally support Judy, whatever you think. And we already have a functioning team to put together a showcase and to put together a mini showcase with primarily local vendors, probably local suppliers. I don't think would be that much work. And, we could put out the word to the people we've used. And again, the thing that we need to do is to make it worth any of these events is to make sure we drive enough people to come. And again, I think we could fund these things so that, and fund it for non-members if what we're trying to do is drive membership. You know, so that's my 2 cents on Wyoming.
I think, yeah, those are great. And you're right. How do we get the names? So there's on the names thing, we could even start smaller than that. We could do like a meet and greet, a basic social, right? We could do that in February, March, somewhere in there of, come meet with ASTA people if you've never considered ASTA, or if you're ex ASTA or something like that. But how do we get those names? And Nicole in yesterday's call mentioned TA Connect. I don't know what her rules are, but do you suppose she could export us a list of who she's got in TA Connect? I've never used it. It's only for suppliers. I don't have access to it.
That would be really helpful if she could.
Because if we can at least get an invite list, and then you said you were in some Facebook groups, or
I'm just on local Cheyenne,
okay,
but nobody's ever responded or commented or liked or anything that I've put out for the showcase. So I don't know. But I mean, I've seen, every now and again, somebody will say, I'm looking for a travel agent, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes if the few people that I know see that, they'll tag me. But a lot of other people get tagged. So I suppose I could dig up that way and sort of stalk people's Facebook to see, and then if they have a website, I could probably get an email or contact information. It would just be a little bit of digging. But yeah, I think a meet and greet would be great. I mean, there's all kinds of places, if not a restaurant, there's Little America here has, they host weddings and all kinds of stuff. So that would even be a good mini showcase place if the community college was full. But I mean, there's lots of options. It's just, how do we find the people?
Yeah, maybe scouring Google, checking with Nicole about TA Connect. Jen, you and I could scour BNI lists, though there's not many of us in BNI to begin with.
No.
How do we know there's 500? Where does that number come from?
So when I went to legislative day, they gave us a couple of handouts. One was, this is what we want you to tell people. And one was, this is about ASTA. And they had a breakdown by state. And it said there's 555 travel advisors in Wyoming. 13 of them are ASTA members. And then I think there was another number that was like, which are brick and mortar, which I don't even pay attention to that because who cares? But that's where I got the numbers.
So where did they get that number?
I don't know, probably some government bureau. Cool. Okay. So I think Wyoming, key focus, very strong. So that's a good option. And I think doing casual meet and greets for the first few months of the year, once we kind of figure out who to invite, we can, I can work with HQ to get us discount codes that live a little bit longer than 2 weeks. If they'll let me do that, or I'll just bug them every week. So then we can kind of start getting those numbers up. I mean, I'd love to see us get 50 advisors added from Wyoming.
That would be amazing.
Over the course of 2025. So I first saw 100, but I said, no, let's go for 10%.
I'd be happy if we got the 13 that are members. I mean, to show up,
Well, that's another thing is, reaching out to those members, but we do know that we do have, and just checking in with them. That's something that I think has been a gap for us is general member engagement of just taking a sample of our list and checking in with those folks and kind of see what support do they need from ASTA, from our chapter and in their business, et cetera. We've done surveys and stuff. I think people are generally surveyed out. I think this is the time of year, particularly, that every company is sending a survey, including me. I did one last month. So yeah. kind of figure out a dual side of it, of engaging who we've got, and then how do we do recruitment, which justifies, another idea that we've had, but haven't really had the uptake for, of like supplier road shows, of supplier 1 and 2 starting in Colorado Springs, then do Denver, then do Cheyenne or Fort Collins. And, that lets us hit the whole region. Casper and Cody are notwithstanding, but no one lives in Cody anyway. So
The 13, are they mostly in Cheyenne? Or are they all over the state?
I think I'm the only one in Cheyenne. I have a
Yeah.
feeling they're up in like Jackson and Cody.
yeah,
Maybe
Jackson and Sterling, something at the north end of the state.
I don't know.
We had a little cluster up there, but Casper's halfway. So,
Mhm.
okay. So I think that's a great focus for the year ahead. What about driving business or other focuses? Okay. What should we maybe be focused on for as a chapter? Does anyone have ideas on that? Or
I like the fam trip idea. Whoever came up with that.
You did.
Was it me?
I like my idea. I think I'm brilliant.
Would be
That would be cool.
that gives us a social event too if we go somewhere and do a fam. Oh, you know what we should do? This would blow the budget. We should all go to Skylar's
Oh,
in Africa. We should do a fam trip to.
We
That
could
would
afford
too.
to send 2 people.
We definitely, yes. But anyhow, so I think that's another idea. But
Yeah. I think a fan is a cool idea.
I think we need to get attendance up at our events.
What about a Rocky Mountaineer fam?
Yes.
And then we could arrange for the transportation from Moab back to Denver, like rent a bus or something, because as we know, that's the challenge with their fams. But if we did it as a group, or as we've talked before, trying to tie that in with TAC being in Salt Lake City next May.
Yeah. We kind of started talking a little bit. Gwen and I started talking to August about that at the showcase. Everything's a little bit funky, but I think we can figure it out. That's a good idea. Reaching out to August, potentially doing a fam where they chip in something and chapter chips in something, and guests have to apply and chip in something. But by the way, and I don't know if anyone knows this yet, but in 2026, they're going all the way to Salt Lake.
oh, cool.
Oh,
I
nice.
heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, their TA rates are amazing.
It's like $250 or something, isn't it?
Well, it was going up
Okay.
like 2 years ago, but my BDM said I could go once a year. So, I mean, I'm in.
Cool. Yeah, that's certainly an option. I have a partner out there in Moab that does canoe kind of wellness retreats, canoeing up the river too. I don't know what that would look like. It's just kind of a multi-phase adventure, bam, on this end of the world. Or find a Cabo hotel and go to Cabo.
It does seem like it
Or
should
we
be.
go to the ski resorts, like not in the wintertime, obviously that would be kind of messy, but I'm sure we all get people who ask us about going to ski resorts, and we all probably have our favorites, but it would be interesting to see multiple ski resort towns.
Also a great idea. Yeah. If they've got, there's the town side of it. There's ski.com. Maybe somebody there could talk about their travel agent offering.
Mm-hmm.
They're not owned. Ski.com's not owned by Vail, right? Because Vail's terrible. Yes, Jen.
No, I just met at our conference a rep from ski.com. She actually lives right here in Denver,
Cool.
not in Aspen where the company is based, but I'm sure she would be happy to help.
Okay. Another great idea. Cool. Alrighty. Well, those are some things to be thinking about. I would say let's keep thinking about them and bring it up again in our next call. Unless someone else has any ideas. So we've got Wyoming as a focus, maybe driving business as a focus, so we can figure out a way that's not too much work to do that. And potential fam trip somewhere somehow.
Last time it was also mentioned as an idea for scholarships.
Scholarships, like to TAC, right? Or
I just have in the minutes that it was brought up as an idea for scholarships.
okay.
And
I
would
probably
people
said that.
apply or? I mean, what?
I don't know. I come up with random ideas and throw them out there, and then Robin reminds me of them because she takes the notes. Yeah, I mean that's certainly an option. I think for me, a scholarship would be most valuable for someone who's new in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. HQ is definitely leaning away from scholarships and promo codes for TAC, and good on them. They sold out last year, so the new format of the event does them really well. But if we can do something along the lines of scholarship for new to the industry folks, that's not a terrible idea.
I would support that too. I think it's a pretty pricey event.
Mm-hmm.
And if we scholarship the registration, people are still in for travel and hotels. But I think it would really benefit a lot of our members to get to it, and it would benefit the chapter because typically people come back kind of more interested in being involved.
Yeah,
What is it, like 400 or 500 now to go?
it is currently 570 until April 20th.
That's a ton. Yeah, that's a ton if you're fairly new.
If you're brand new. Now I can work with HQ. Maybe they could give us the early bird rate as a chapter to give as a scholarship. Now I got the Buddha glow going on. So, that's another really good option. Now I would want to put some rails around that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
due to the industry, expect them to talk about it, maybe meet with board members before and after, business plan. I don't want to do the whole business plan crap, but something along those lines, of making sure that they're getting their due out of it. That it's not just a cheap trip. Cool.
Maybe some kind of an application because,
Mhm.
yeah. So, and then we'd have a decision-making process.
Even just
More like work.
even just offering to pair up members so people could share a room would help with expenses. I've done 2 years and I looked at this year's and went, nah, not going to do that again. It just gets pricey. And again, I think it's a good experience.
Yeah. I think I think the new format's fantastic too. And it sounds like next year we don't have to do the chapter connections crap.
Oh, what are you going to do with that costume?
Oh man, I was gonna wear it for Halloween this year and I completely forgot about it. Yeah, but no, I don't think we're gonna be doing we're gonna do something for chapter connections, but I don't think we're doing the whole big table,
It makes
expo
sense
thing.
because honestly, then the focus is about going around and collecting bling. It's not about connecting with your local chapter.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of the feedback they got last year from me.
If they had left that time instead for chapters to actually have a get together, since there was no time for that in the schedule, that would be a better use of the time, the limited time.
Agreed. I don't know how much their agenda is even published yet, but got the site up. Not a whole lot yet.
I had one other thought that's not a budget issue, but if we can do more, and as you said, we haven't done much to reach out to members. But when people come to an event and they're new, we have now on the committee Paula, who's doing our timeline. She said, you know, when she's gone to things, she came to the trade show last year. She went to Rocky Mountaineer event. She said she feels like everybody knows everybody, and you know, it's hard to know and stuff. And she wound up at the disc and sat next to Heather, who talked to her and brought her on board. And I think we really need to do, as a board or as a group, an effort that when we have events, that we really reach out to people who are not already part of our team. It's so fun to just connect with each other. But and she said that she was sitting at the registration table and saw somebody come in at the trade show, and she said she looked kind of lost, like I felt last year, and she wandered around for a little while and looked at things and then left. And you know, again, I think we need to reach out to people who we don't know when we're at events to help bring them in and make sure they feel welcome. If Heather hadn't connected with her at the disc, she'd still be in the same position, I think, you know, of just not feeling connected at all. But she had come to 3 events. I mean, she did Rocky Mountaineer and disc, and so she's willing to come to stuff. But so anyhow, that's an aside.
No, I agree. Yeah, membership engagement is definitely something we in most chapters need to be better about. Okay, so I think we have some good priorities there. Okay, let's keep noodling on that. And I think where I want to go with this, as I tend to be melting into my background, is I keep trying to move away from the sunlight. I got one more meeting after this. This is gonna be fun. Is kind of designate, you know, people to work on different aspects of it. So, you know, Udi and I potentially on the Wyoming thing, somebody to maybe sketch out what a scholarship should look like, what a FAM should look like, and that sort of thing. I mean, if Skylar wants to take us all over to Africa for free, I think we have our FAM. But yeah, when Skylar, when you watch this, give me a call. So I think that's kind of where we'll head, but let's just noodle on it for the next couple of weeks and kind of come back to it in our next call. A couple other things I hope to have resolved by then as well. And we can finalize budget as well. I'm talking randomly because there was one more thing I was going to say. Sally has implemented for the showcase team, you know, generally having a backup for everybody. And I mentioned this a meeting or two ago that, you know, yes, we all have of our designated roles, but I want to make sure that anyone first that we approach everything as a team. And so we do have our volunteer sign up thingy on our site, but you know, as we do a membership engagement, getting more people to help out with this notion of committees. I mean, the showcase is our gold standard of a committee now. But you know, we talked about with events that it's not all on Trish, that, you know, if you can coordinate Trish, that, you know, you're so-and-so is going to work on putting this event together and then this event together, and you're just kind of bringing those things together, whether that's someone from the board or other people who are willing to help. I would really like to see that. Jen, you and I had specifically chatted, well, we emailed back and forth, of you needing help on the treasurer side. Do you we got somebody to help with that for showcase yesterday. Is that the help that you need, or do you need additional help beyond that?
I think if Heather and I can tag team the showcase stuff, that'll be good. I think I can handle all the ASTA filings and stuff and the budget and stuff and like a little bit of the showcase, but it got overwhelming with all the invoices and changes and stuff. And then there's also some timing suggestions I have. I mean, if we could push, I don't think we really need to publish the budget till January. So just having like a little more lead time between finishing the showcase and putting together the budget is like another way to manage it.
Okay.
But those are my thoughts.
Okay, that all sounds great. Part of that is legally only you and I can touch the money and that kind of stuff. So we got to be careful, but I want to make sure you get the support that you need. But it sounds like we're okay there. And yeah, we can play. I mean, this is the first year we did a budget, so we can do whatever we want with it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Any other topics for today before I get sucked into the universe black hole here? I'm having a lot of fun with this.
Actually, Jeff, do you need a blind guy?
The funny thing is there actually is like an outdoor blind on that door, but there's this little sliver for about an hour, a couple months of the year that it just hits me right in the face.
Oh.
So.
Before we go, just reminding everyone that, we're going to gone for Thanksgiving, and then the first week in December is our holiday party. And since,
we need more people to sign up for that.
yeah, we don't have that many people signed up yet on Ticket Tailor, so only like 10. So hopefully we'll get a nice turnout for that.
Yep. Robin, let's do a special holiday mailing. Do you have time for that in the next 2 days, or?
Well, I have changed my reminder for doing the monthly newsletter to after the budget, or I'm sorry, after the board meeting, so that anything that we talk about that's relevant, I can put in it. So I planned on a newsletter by the end of the week.
Cool.
Is that good? Okay.
That's great. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I just emailed the board an invite for a Celebrity Fam Seminar at Sea thing that is tied to ASTA. We can include that. Everyone from ASTA is invited to that, so we could throw that in the newsletter as well.
Cool.
But yeah, let's see if HubSpot has a nice holiday-ish template and just blast it. If you need graphics, I'll get you graphics. But yeah, get more people signed up for that. This was popular last year. Everyone liked it last year. I think people just missed the email. Cool. All righty. Thanks, everybody.
Next meeting?
Next meeting should be, Robin, you always keep me on track. I love it. Should be December 18th. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
I am flying that day.
Okay.
You can't rearrange
You
your
all
flight?
can meet, but someone else has to keep the notes.
That's fine. We can find someone else to keep the notes.
Okay.
I'll do a general email to everybody. Make sure if that date works for everybody or most people, then we'll keep it. If not, we'll figure out what works.
So I use Zoom in my agency, and part of Zoom features is an AI meeting summary. And I mean, technically the summary would suffice instead of meeting minutes, because it still sometimes needs to be edited, but it does a fairly good job not only of capturing the discussion, but capturing the next steps pieces. I don't know if Google Meet has something similar. I imagine they do, but maybe that might be an option, especially for meetings when I'm not here.
There is a transcription tool in here.
I like that.
We could play with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll try it.
Okay.
All right, next time we talk. All righty. If
All right.
that's it, well, thanks everybody. Have yourself a wonderful Thanksgiving and travel safely. We'll see you all soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Robin?
Oh.